Thank you. We've got a hard stop at 25 minutes after because security has to come in and check the room. And so let me basically follow up on the last panel with using a case study, an example. One of America's most innovative universities, a large-scale public university, Arizona State University. And what I want to talk about and what I want to work on is how does one actually integrate technology into a living, functioning, breathing, faculty-led, faculty-driven, creativity-driven university in a way where that university can be optimized at a larger scale, where it can perform at a larger scale, where it can constrain its costs, where it can have high impact, and so forth and so on. So let me walk you through the case study. You don't need to read all of this, but I want you to see the main points. This is a quote from Frank Rhodes, who was the president of Cornell University for many years. He was the provost at the University of Michigan. Basically, knowledge has become the prime mover in our society, in all of our societies, China, the United States, elsewhere. Knowledge is autocatalytic. It lives off of itself. New ideas breed newer ideas, breed newer ideas. It is an endless process. For people that think that somehow universities are going to fade away, they're not going to fade away, they're not going to move. It's also the notion that knowledge is growing in scope, growing in impact, growing in outcomes. This is a quote from Alan Wilson. We live at the center of a knowledge explosion, and that knowledge is power in and of itself. At the root of this knowledge explosion, at the root of the transformation of human society are, among other institutions, universities. Universities are highly powerful institutions. They're driving this process in a very specific way. We heard in the last panel, and I think it's worth noting, we heard in the last panel that one of the things that some of the for-profit universities did was they abandoned the faculty. They moved away from the faculty in some cases. They didn't remain engaged in knowledge creation and in knowledge synthesis and in knowledge storage, and thus their models grew weaker over time in many cases. Knowledge is not static. This is just basically a simple picture. 1900, knowledge doubled roughly every 100 years. Today, the Internet of Things is doubling knowledge every 12 hours. It's a completely transformed thing. This on the left, this is the British Library. In the glass on the left is the King's Library. That was everything that the King of England in 1760 or so could acquire as a written book from anywhere on the planet. It all fit inside that little cube just 300 years ago. The transformation is unbelievable. The transformation is dramatic. It's never going to stop. It's a part of who we are and how we work. Very important point about American universities. American colleges and universities, which are held up by many as being really fantastic institutions, is that they are a part of an evolutionary process. We started in the United States with small Greek academies. One used to be called Harvard College, now Harvard University. Small colleges like Bowdoin College, a small college that grew into a bigger university called Princeton. We then, this is in the 1600s and the 1700s, we built public universities. By the way, all of these institutions still exist. For those of folks that are out there saying that all of this is going to be somehow collapsed and demised, these are some of the longest living institutions that have ever been created. These public universities at a medium scale, ultimately in the middle of the 19th century, land-grant universities, you've heard of some of them, Penn State, University of Illinois, University of California, University of Wisconsin. Those institutions grew up, those institutions were designed to solve problems related to agriculture, related to engineering. They were designed to educate the children, sons and daughters of farmers and mechanics, working class people. In the last quarter of the 19th century, research universities began to emerge right here, these institutions right here. Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore was the first, the prototype. Stanford and the University of Chicago were built from whole cloth as research universities. Others like Harvard, Michigan, and Illinois became research universities, having been something else. Now, mostly people think that's it. The entire evolutionary process is done. Evolution is never done. If knowledge is autocatalytic, then the evolution of knowledge enterprises, like universities, is also autocatalytic, is also a continuing process. So one of the things that's been happening recently in the United States is the emergence of a new scale of institution. There are two of them. I lead one of them, Arizona State University, as a new, what we call national service university, which operates at social scale. Operates in a way where it's attempting to engage broad spectrums of the population. And so there's two, Arizona State University as the new American university, American principles of democracy, American principles of egalitarianism, reaching out to every family, reaching out to every individual from every income class, everyone that has talent being merit-based, and Purdue University, which is a classic land-grant university in Indiana, which through its purchase of Kaplan University, a for-profit university, which is now converting into a not-for-profit online arm, has then also become a social scale, societal scale, national service university. Now, how do you do this? These Wave 5 universities, two of them, again, characteristics, they are adaptive knowledge creation. This is really, really important. This is what separates these institutions from other institutions, also called businesses. At the core of both of these Wave 5 universities, in the evolution of American higher education, knowledge creation is at the core. The faculty are involved in discovery, creation, transfer, synthesis, analysis, and storage of knowledge at the core of the institution. That's not going away, and it's essential. Yet at the same time, the institutions are restructuring themselves to be adaptive. That is, not to be fixed, not to be a fixed structure. There's plenty of rooms for fixed structures out there, but not every university will continue to be fixed because of the speed of knowledge change, because of the scale of knowledge adjustment, because of the scale of knowledge creation, because of the autocatalytic nature of knowledge itself. The two forms, Type A, the New American University, and we've written a lot about this, and you can find that on our website. Type B, the National Service Land-Grant University. This university here, Purdue University, is very similar to many universities in China that had an agricultural mission and an engineering mission and focused on the success of industry and so forth and so on. So these two prototypes, beginning in 2016, just this last couple of years, have now begun this fundamental evolutionary change. Now, we've been involved in this change for some time. I want to talk about that for us. So we've derived a charter for our institution. This is an extremely important document. Most universities have a similar mission, or if not even the same mission. Our mission is to be a comprehensive public research university that's focused on inclusion and the success of our students. We will not measure our success by how many students we exclude. There is no success in we are a better university because we admitted a smaller number of students. While that is a fact that perhaps your student body is elite, it doesn't mean that your institution is elite. It's a different kind of thing. And research is done for public value. And in the last part of this charter, the university takes responsibility for economic, social, cultural, and health outcomes for the communities that they serve. Now, to do this at scale requires what we call design aspirations, new ways of conceptualizing institutions. So, for instance, becoming socially embedded within the community, valuing entrepreneurship as a part of the core mission of the university. Again, we're talking about an evolutionary process, the evolution of a new kind of university, what we call fusing intellectual disciplines. The fusing of intellectual disciplines is that so many of our universities are basically clonal replicas. They're just the same thing over and over and over and over, just in a different place. And they shouldn't be. They should not be afraid to evolve intellectually, to evolve in different kinds of ways. We, for instance, have eliminated 80 academic units. We've built 20 transdisciplinary schools, new schools in Earth and space exploration, School of Human Evolution and Social Change, School of Sustainability, School for the Future of Innovation in Society, School for Transborder Studies, School for Social Transformation. And these are not minor things. These have been the result of hundreds of millions of dollars of investments, actually billions of dollars of investment, in our reconceptualizing the kind of university that's needed in the future. Not to replace the universities of the past, but to augment the universities of the past. Now, how do we do this? Again, let me reiterate. Knowledge is the key driver to all things. And so we've had to build a completely new structure. So back to the last panel, where the panelists were talking about technology and technology innovation and making things happen and so forth. Let me walk you through how we now operate after 15 years of dramatic change. We have not removed knowledge from the core. Our faculty are still research-oriented, research-focused, hundreds of millions of dollars a year of research funding, competing in every competition imaginable, winning as many of them as possible. We have one of the highest non-medical research funding levels in the United States. So advancing knowledge and the pursuit and the sanctity of knowledge, the storage, synthesis, all these things, that's at the core of this modern adaptive university. From that core, This is the core, the red dot right here. This is knowledge at the core. Think of that as like a nuclear reactor or a fusion reactor, this notion of an autocatalytic process that our faculty are engaged in. From that core, then, we now operate in what we call Realm 1. Realm 1 is full immersion on-campus technology-enhanced learning. Full immersion, face-to-face. On campus, we live together, we interact together, we socialize together. This is a special, privileged learning environment for human beings to be in, just as we heard in the last panel. But in our case, highly technologically enhanced. Artificial intelligence-based educational tutors and assistants, robots helping us do this or that, online e-advisor programs, different kinds of adaptive and active learning platforms, everything possible to take this learning environment and make it so enriched that any person can enter this environment and learn across any subject or multiple subjects or tiers of subjects. They can learn and start companies at the same time. They can learn and be engaged in different types of learning at the same time. We've been doing this for the last many years, and then from that, we developed a technological capability that allowed us to move into this second realm, Realm 2, digital immersion online. Let me back up just a little bit. So in this realm here, Realm 1, we have about 75,000 students. 75,000 students that we have come from the entirety of the socioeconomic diversity of our country. There are very large numbers of low-income students, very large numbers of ethnic minority students, very larger than the actual percentage of the population itself. 12,000 freshmen, 50% of whom are minority students. These are tasks and undertakings that are very, very difficult to undertake. And technology has been an equalizing tool, a mechanism for us to become more effective and more efficient. Once we figured out how to do that in Realm 1, Realm 2 became possible. So in Realm 2, we call it digital immersion, online technology-enhanced learning. The second realm is if you don't have the opportunity to be at the physical campus, you either didn't finish college, you served in the military, you got married, something happened, you didn't go to college, you're working and you now need a college degree, you now can engage with our faculty across 150 different college degrees in this second realm, digital immersion, completely immersive, completely engaged in adaptive learning, active learning, computer assistance learning, individualized learning, personalized learning, individual lectures, student success coaches, everything that you can imagine to drive yourself forward. In this second realm, we now have 30,000 students pursuing degrees in this second realm, including students in the first fully accredited online undergraduate degrees in engineering. Fully accredited, full degree, no variation, unbelievable technological learning enhancements and learning platforms coming from the same faculty. So on this electrical engineering degree, in the core of our university is a very research-intensive faculty. We have 2,000 students learning with us with that faculty in Realm 1, full immersion. We have 1,100 students learning with us online, while they're also research intensive, using every tool that human beings have available to them in this second realm. Realm 3, digital immersion, massively open, technology enhanced. This is what some people used to call Moocs. Moocs are fantastic courses offered by a number of universities. We heard some numbers from Harvard and Stanford, some others, hundreds of thousands, millions of students have signed up for these courses. What we're trying to do is find ways where these courses aren't just ways to learn, but they're ways to also be certified. They're ways to actually advance in your certified knowledge outcomes. So digital immersion, massively open, technology enhanced. In this arena, we launched a couple years ago an entity that we're still evolving called the Global Freshman Academy. And we've had hundreds of thousands of students sign up for the courses in the Global Freshman Academy. We now have completely adaptive math courses, college algebra, pre-calculus, we're developing calculus. We've got every course that's part of a first-year university curriculum, either under development or presently deployed. We think that this is scalable to an infinite level, and it's yet another example, again, connected to the red core, connected to the library, connected to our assets, connected to our researchers, connected to our science labs, connected to our humanists throughout this entire thing. Then what that has then allowed us in Realm 4, with heavy research funding from the Gates Foundation, from NASA, from other foundations, from internal resources that we have, has been the realm of now putting together education through exploration, basically game-based learning. Play a game, on an intelligent device, and at the end of the game, understand the subject, never having to pass through the filter of a teacher operating in a traditional way. It doesn't mean that the teacher is replaced. It means that some subjects could be taught this way. So if you could teach biology, chemistry, and physics by teaching students how to find habitable planets, then you'd have a fantastic way to speed up the learning process and to broaden the learning process and to enhance STEM outcomes. And then we call Realm 5, which is infinitely scalable learning. And we're not there yet. We don't have the tools, we don't have the mechanisms, we don't have the big data analytics to now take learning to an infinite scale where no human will be left behind. Right now, we leave humans behind. We don't know how to scale, we don't know how to reach out to everyone, we don't know how to get everyone to learn. So, since we're here at an innovation conference, and I'm down to 4 minutes, we're at an innovation conference, I thought I would go through and talk about what are the innovations that we actually need. So what should venture capitalists be investing in beyond what they're already investing in? What things do we actually need to make things happen? So one thing we know that we need in society going forward everywhere is the mastery of science and math. And I don't mean mastery at the PhD level. I mean mastery of you understand how to solve for the unknown. That's algebra. You understand how to think in 3 dimensions. That's certain types of math. You understand the basic elements of science. You have basic scientific literacy. How do we take, particularly in the United States, I'll say, how do we take math, which has become a bugaboo, which is like a boogeyman, how do we take that off the table? How do we equalize? People understand language. They understand language quickly. Language, it turns out, is more complicated than math, but somehow math is less understandable because we don't teach it from earlier points of life. We don't teach it correctly. We don't teach it individually. We teach it in a mechanized, egotistical kind of way. Here's the way we teach it. This is the way you're going to learn it. Good luck. And it's somewhere between a failure and a total failure. In Realm 1, we need 21st century digital learning spaces, enhanced interactivity, enhanced everything. This is on campus. On campus. Ways in which you can pursue 2 and 3 degrees at the same time. Multiple languages all at the same time. Artificial intelligence-based advising. The same questions being asked millions and millions and millions of times. There's got to be some way to get those answers derivative to the individual. Ubiquitous content delivery mechanisms. Everything that you ever needed available to you instant. Personalized learning at scale. Your individual way of learning is not the same as mine. I like to watch television, look at my computer, write things, ask my computer other questions. I have multiple devices on all at the same time. I learn in a very strange way. If someone can figure out how to teach me across all of those, I would learn in a much more rapid way. Realm 2, digital immersion, online technology enhanced. We need integrated human tutor interface. We need real-time assessments. We need development-based assessments. We need technology to support human relationships and build organizational affinity. There must be some mechanism for human touch, human interactions, human affinity in online learning, or online learning is going to be substandard. We don't have that yet. We need that. We need that interactive tool. Realm 3, digital immersion. We need technologies that derive value from scale. Not small. A lot of companies are doing small knockoffs. This solution, that solution. We need scaled solutions. We need things that work across scale. We need multi-organizational pathway mapping. David and I were talking last night at dinner about some of this. How can we have anyone learning anything anywhere as they advance in their life have an interchangeable way in which they can have a way to move in and out of the learning process seamlessly, effortlessly, to a degree, beyond a degree, to technical training, to humanities training, to art interaction, to creativity, all these things. How do we make that happen? In Realm 4, education through exploration, we need direct human cognition linkages. We need group learning tools. How can you learn as a group? How can you solve problems as a group? The group doesn't have to be physically present with each other. And in Realm 5, lifelong intelligent tutoring. You remember in 1996, if you read the fantastic book Diamond Age, Diamond Age had a tutoring device in it called the Young Lady's Primer. It knew you. It was attached to you from infancy. It knew how you learned, what you liked, what you enjoyed. It remembered everything that you'd ever done along the way. That device is about half buildable right now. It was a science fiction device. at the time, created by Neil Stevenson. In realm 5, how do we help someone to learn across the entirety of their life? Someone might be able to remind me what I learned in the 5th grade that would help me to then relearn something now, that would help me to adapt to something then. How do we use these devices to enhance our learning outcomes at scale? So, 4 seconds. That's what we're doing at Arizona State University. So we are a case study for the previous panel on the innovation of universities, and it's 12:24, and they need to clear the room, so thank you very much.